Hi there. I know, I know. It's been like 2 weeks. Nobody missed me, pretty sure. That's okay. I had a lot going on the last couple weeks, and therefore I didn't make any videos. Um, Lots of things that happened that don't concern whiskey at all. Um, we finished a trimester, our winter trimester at the culinary school. That was pretty exciting. There was some fun stuff. Um, the last video I did was Mardi Gras. After that, we had some pretty interesting things happen. We've got a new batch of moonshine going. Um, there's distributor news for the Black Bear Distillery. Um, Me, my wife, and our two other event staff. Well, they do more than that, but in that particular weekend, they were event staff. We went up to Estes Park for the whiskey warm up, which is one of our favorite events. Got to see a whole bunch of our fellow distillers that we haven't really seen much in about 2 years. Got to meet some new people. Got to taste some new stuff. Pretty good time. Um, Now we're coming up, at least here where I am, to the last 15 minutes of St. Patty's Day, and maybe you have a little more St. Patty's Day left. If so, enjoy it. Um, Maybe St. Patty's Day is already done for you, and in which case, you know, uh, I refer back to my friend Kevin, who always said, if you didn't go to sleep, it's still the same day. So, if you haven't gone to sleep, it's still St. Patty's Day. So keep enjoying yourself. Um, Now, yes, I've had a Guinness today. Yes, I've had some Irish whiskey. Uh, the whiskey I've had today is one that I'm gonna kind of share with you guys. During the 2 weeks that I haven't been making videos, I kind of thought about a few things. Some developments happened that I'll talk about at a later date when things are more finalized. But what I thought about goes back to one of my mentors. Um, when we tasted stuff, whiskey, wine, beer, whatever it is, um, because we're chefs and because the way we do things doesn't always line up with everybody else. Um, as far as I get tobacco leaf and uh, oh, it smells like poinsettia. Like, we don't do that. We have more personal kind of descriptions for all that stuff that maybe aren't good for mixed company. Sometimes they're pretty tame, but sometimes they're not. And the reason I bring that up is because I've been treating these videos the way I treat tours and tastings at the distillery. But you guys watching, you're not on a tour and tasting at the distillery. You're watching from home. You're watching somebody else taste a whiskey that maybe you've tried, maybe you haven't, maybe you will, maybe you won't. Uh, and the descriptions I give are the descriptions I give at a tasting table in a group of people that maybe I don't know. So, they're kind of boring. And I'm not gonna sit here and claim to be any kind of comedian, but some of our more useful notes about whiskeys and wines tend to be a little bit different. So I'm going to change things, and I'm going to do it that way. Hopefully, it's a little more interesting, and I can get some of those weird things out of my mind and out there to you guys. Um, I say whatever you taste is whatever you taste. Whatever you like is whatever you like. If something you drink brings back a memory, go with it. So in this particular case, this whiskey, which I have tasted already, but I'm gonna go ahead and run through my tasting with you. I had some things that brought back memories and made me think of very specific moments in my life. So I'm going to use those. And I'm going to try to do that in every video where I taste something. So that being said, let's jump into this whiskey. So since it's St. Paddy's Day and it's all about Irish stuff today, I chose an Irish whiskey. This whiskey was given to me today, actually, but I have not tried it yet until today. But this is the legendary Dark Silkie Irish whiskey. Okay, this is from Carrick in County Donegal. This is a blend of triple and double distilled peated single malts from Ireland, which, may not be typical for most of us, but it's a very interesting whiskey, and I'm going to go ahead and run through it with you guys. So, by sight, this is a 46% and 92 proof whiskey. It was 43 at the store we bought it at. Doesn't have an age statement because it's a blend, but this is pretty much what it looks like, and this light's not great, but it's gold heading towards amber. And on the nose, I get some kind of typical things. I get things like pear and honeysuckle. I got buttered toast. Not sure if that means anything to anybody else, but I got buttered toast. I also picked up a note that reminds me of brut champagne. Now, a small disclaimer: if I use the descriptors that I have a tendency to use in normal circumstances, keep in mind they don't necessarily mean anything bad. They may sound bad, but they don't necessarily mean anything bad. So, in this case, I smell a gym towel that maybe has been used for a couple of days and needs to be washed. It's not horrible, but it's not great. It's kind of got a sweat smell going on. It's maybe a little acidic. Doesn't mean anything bad, but that's what it reminds me of. Not an overall bad smell. Pretty good. So, on the palate, immediately, worn leather. I had just stuck an old leather jacket in my mouth. Once again, not a bad thing. I don't typically chew on leather jackets, but I guess I could. It just has that kind of immediate mouthfeel, that immediate flavor. And then that gives way to honey. Not honeysuckle like the smell, but just honey. Also, a little bit of pear. A slight hint of cilantro, actually, and a little bit of tarragon, and some nutmeg, which is an interesting combination. Luckily, they're kind of layered. It's not like one big bundle of those specific herbs and spices, but it is a very interesting combination. Going from sort of traditional tasting notes, the memory that this brings up, and like I said, not bad things, but maybe a little different. Takes me back to one of my friend's apartments years ago in Fort Collins. Specifically, I'm thinking of the living room of this apartment with an entire Lord of the Rings Risk setup and 4 or 5 people playing Risk and drinking whiskey. It was cheaper stuff back then. It was much different. But this has a vague note of that, and there's sort of a toddler note that goes with it. There was a toddler in that apartment, and she was about 2 at the time, but the smell of, like fresh laundry and kind of baby powder kind of stuff, that kind of hits me. And also, a night at the end of my first year in college, where same friend Kevin and I and a mutual friend were playing poker in his dorm room. There's a very similar note to, or a memory triggered is a better way to say it, by this whiskey. So, I mean, if I was gonna label it, I would say dorm room poker and regret. Those are the memories that come up. Not regret in a bad way. Regret in a wonder what would have happened way. But nothing bad. So it's not a perfect whiskey. It's pretty good. But I don't think if I was rating it out of 10, I would go past the 6. There's nothing phenomenal about it, and there's nothing too boring about it. I have the option of adding this to my Irish whiskey class box and the tasting that I do for my Irish whiskey class. And I generally make that decision on whether or not I would be willing to drink it on a regular, semi-regular basis. And in this case, I think I'll keep it at home. There's nothing wrong with it in such a way that I would rather share it with students. So I will keep it at home. For the price, though, it was $43 where we went. So it's a 6-level bottle at $43. So I would say the price value is not super great. You could pay more, but you could definitely pay less and not feel bad about it. Good stuff. I have no problems with it. I'm going to finish this glass. I still have 4 minutes in St. Paddy's Day. So, till I go back to saying cheers in Scottish Gaelic, I will say it in Irish Gaelic. Sláinte.